A few seconds after something happens, your mind usually has an opinion about it. This is good, this is bad, this is rude, this is a sign, this is rejection, this is proof. But you usually don't see it as an opinion. Oh no, you see it as fact. One day when I was little, it started pouring with rain. I was at home. I stood by the window looking at that heavy rain. Grey sky, dark clouds, everything suddenly wet and gloomy. And I remember thinking, no, I don't want this. I've always been more of a sunshine kind of girl. Give me blue sky, give me light, give me heat, and I'm purring. But that day, all I could see was bad weather. And then I remember my mum looking out of the same window, and she said, with the deepest appreciation in her voice, "Drink, beautiful earth, drink." And I've never forgotten that, because her and I were looking the same thing. Same rain, same sky, same window, same moment, but we were not experiencing it in the same way. I was seeing something that had completely ruined the day. She was seeing the earth finally receiving what it needed. We do this constantly. We attach meaning to things and then we forget we attached it. We don't usually think, I am interpreting this weather as bad. No, we think this weather is bad. We don't usually think, I am giving this silence the meaning of rejection. No, we think, I'm being rejected. And sometimes the interpretation is accurate, but sometimes it's not. When I was a student in Chinese medicine, a teacher once told us this famous Taoist story. You may have heard it before. There are several versions of it, but basically it goes something like this. A farmer had a horse. One day, the horse ran away. The farmer's neighbor said, "Oh, that's terrible. What bad luck." To which the farmer replied, "Good, bad, who knows?" A few days later, the horse came back, bringing with it a wild mare. The neighbor said, "That's wonderful. What good luck?" The farmer replied, "Good, bad, who knows?" Then the farmer's son tried to ride the wild mare, fell off and broke his leg. The neighbor said, "That's terrible. What bad luck?" The farmer replied, "Good, bad, who knows?" Soon after that, soldiers came to the village to take young men away to war. But because the farmer's son had a broken leg, they left him behind. And again, the farmer said, "Good, bad, who knows?" What I love about this story is that the farmer isn't pretending that things don't affect him. He simply refuses to close the meaning too early. The neighbors keep deciding what each event is: good, bad, lucky, unlucky, terrible, wonderful. But the farmer keeps leaving the door open because he understands something that most of us forget when we're right in the middle of a story. We don't know yet. Let me tell you about something that happened to me. On the property where I live with my partner, we used to have lots and lots of sparrows. They were everywhere. Last year, we started having a serious problem with rats around the chook house where we keep our chickens and ducks. Now, I did try to think of every possible humane way to invite the rats to take their little rat lives elsewhere. I do like rats. I was open to negotiation. The rats were not. And the problem became so bad that my partner eventually put rat poison near the chook house. He placed it in a cage so that birds and other animals wouldn't be able to reach it. The idea was that only the rats could get to it. But somehow, the sparrows, which I've discovered are very resourceful birds, managed to find a way into the cage and they ate the poison. And I didn't know that was happening until we started finding dead sparrows around the property. I was devastated and I was angry at the poison, Angry at my partner, angry at the situation, angry that these little birds were dying because of us. In my mind, the meaning of the event was very clear. This is bad, this is wrong, this is awful. Except that in the following weeks and months, I started noticing new birds on the property, species I hadn't seen before. And over time, we ended up with this huge diversity of birds. Different sizes, different colors, different songs. And I've since learned to recognize many of them, not just by sight, but by the way they sing. And we still have sparrows that didn't disappear completely. It's simply that there are fewer of them now. I think what happened is the sparrows had been so numerous and territorial that they were preventing other birds from coming in. Once their numbers reduced, space opened up for other species. Now, I am not saying that the sparrows dying was good, definitely not. What I'm saying is that at the time, I thought I knew exactly what the event meant. Later, reality became more complex. That to me is the farmer's story. The lesson isn't to call painful things wonderful. Some things are painful. The lesson is to be careful how quickly we decide that we know the full meaning of what's happening. Very often, we're seeing just one frame of a much longer film, just one brushstroke of a much larger painting. But the mind doesn't always wait for the film to unfold, doesn't always step back far enough to see the whole picture. It says, oh, I know this. I've been somewhere like this before. Here, this is what it means. If you grew up around people who used silence as punishment, silence may not feel neutral to you now. It may feel really, really uncomfortable. If you were criticized every time you made a mistake, mistakes may not feel like information, but more like exposure. If you learned that confident people were dismissive or superior, confidence may immediately look like arrogance to you. Your brain isn't making meaning out of nowhere. It's working with what it has learned. This can be very useful when the interpretation is accurate. If someone is genuinely unsafe or cruel, I want my brain to notice patterns. I don't want to float through life saying, well, who knows? Maybe being treated like crap is just part of my spiritual growth. No, thank you. But it can also trap us because sometimes an old meaning gets applied to a new situation without us noticing. Someone speaks with authority and I react to a teacher I had 40 years ago. Someone forgets to reply and I react to an old wound around being ignored. Someone disagrees with me and I experience it as rejection. And maybe my interpretation does contain some truth. Maybe it doesn't. And if I never examine it, I won't know. I'll simply live inside it. So this is where awareness comes in. Awareness doesn't make you stop interpreting things. Meaning making is part of being human. But once the meaning becomes visible, then you can become curious. Where did that come from? What exactly am I reacting to? Is it what happened or what I think it means? What did I learn that silence means? What did I learn that rest means? What did I learn that disagreement means? For one person, rest means peace. For another, it means laziness. For one person, disagreement means honesty. For another, it means danger. The goal isn't to prove yourself wrong. I don't think awareness should become another way of doubting yourself. The question is, can I become interested in how I arrived here? Because sometimes the meaning will still stand. For example, you may think someone is arrogant, examine it, and then still come to the conclusion, yes, actually, I do think this person is arrogant. In which case, fine, proceed accordingly. But sometimes you may realize, I'm not only reacting to this person, I'm reacting to something this person reminds me of. Or I'm reacting to what this type of situation used to mean in my life. Or my brain placed this in an old category and I'm now treating the category as if it's still current. From there, one practical question is, what else could this mean? Not to force positivity, I don't like that. But this question, what else could this mean, creates flexibility. They didn't reply to my message. First meaning that comes straight away, they don't care about me. What else could this mean? They're busy and they don't want to rush their answer. They don't know what to say. Their dog took their phone and ran off with it. True story. Or maybe, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. That's the farmer's good, bad, who knows? This is not about collecting prettier interpretations. This is about loosening the grip of the first one. Because very often, the first interpretation is simply the fastest one. And the fastest one usually comes from the oldest programming, which doesn't always serve us. And because changing the old programming isn't as simple as pressing delete on a computer, thank you, brain, please uninstall Childhood Insecurity version 4.7, enter. It's not as simple as that. But noticing the meaning you gave something is a great place to start. And if we never question those meanings, we can end up organizing our whole life around definitions we did not consciously choose. Think about it. You may be avoiding something, chasing something, resenting something, fearing something, just because of the meaning your mind has attached to it. Sometimes rain is just rain. And sometimes, if someone beside you sees it differently, you may suddenly realize that the world has much more than just one meaning available. Drink, beautiful earth, drink.